Good morning, dear students. Today, in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the second part of the transporter circulatory system. In previous lecture, we are discussing about the blood, lymph, and the type and their functions. Now here we are going to discuss about the blood vessels. Blood vessels. Students, blood vessels. As this sequence reveals that it has a close relationship between the blood. Yes, students, the blood vessels are a kind of tubes-like structures in which the blood flows. These type of structures are known as blood vessels. There are three types of blood vessels are found in human circulatory system. These are arteries, it's plural of artery, vein, also plural of vein, and the third is capillaries. The plural form of capillary. Now students, we discuss more about all these three types of blood vessels one by one. First of all, we are described about the arteries. Arteries are the thick-walled blood vessels. In compare with the other two blood vessels, arteries, the wall of arteries is comparatively thick. It always carries the oxygenated blood from heart to the whole parts of body. Arteries are deeply seated inside the dermal part of the skin. If we are talking about the origin of this kind of blood vessels, then it gets originated from the mesodermis part of the embryo. Now look at here a diagram of artery. An artery is thick-walled blood vessels. It is mainly consists of three layers. All these three layers are very thin and called tunic membranes. And if we are taking the structure of these membranes with the help of this diagram, then we can say tunic externa, tunic externa, tunic media, tunic media for the middle layer, and tunic interna for the innermost layer. The layer of the arteries is consist of epithelial cells. These are the simple squamous type of epithelial cells which are somewhat flattened plate-like structures and has a hexagonal forms of cells, just as shown in the diagram. These are the epithelial squamous layer of cells, or you can say that simple squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium. Students, because arteries carries the oxygenated blood from the heart to the whole part of body, the pressure inside the blood pressure inside this blood vessels is always higher than the other two blood vessels. Now we are know about the diagrammatic structure of veins. The veins are comparatively thin-walled tissues compared to the blood vessels. The inner wall of the veins possesses semilunar wall that are the crescent shape. That's why called semilunar wall. These walls perform very important function in the flow of the blood inside the veins. If we are taking the example of this, then this is a closed semilunar wall. Closed semilunar wall, and this is the open semilunar wall. Students, if we are talking about the structure of an artery and vein, then there is no differences in the origin and their structure. Just like to the artery, the veins are also consist of three walls: the tunica external layer, tunica medial layer, and tunica internal layer. The peculiar differences between the artery and the veins is presence of semilunar wall. In arteries there is no wall is present, but in veins there is semilunar walls are present that helps in regulating the pressure of blood inside the veins. Students, veins are comparatively thin-walled than the artery, and they always carry the deoxygenated blood from the whole parts of body to our heart. Now we are taking another section of this topic, capillaries. We can illustrate the capillaries with the help of this diagram. The capillaries are thinnest walled blood vessels, which are mainly formed by the branching of the arteries and veins. They are found inside the internal organs only, where the arteries and veins do not present. The arteries are always known as the interlinked medium between an artery and a vein. That's why the capillaries are regarded as the arteries and veins because they are only found inside the internal organs where the arteries and veins are absent. If we assume that this blood vessels is artery and this one is a vein, then when an artery gets branched into another part, this is called arteriole. And when the arteriole further get branched, this part is called capillary. This is the network of capillary. Just like in the vein also, when the veins primarily get branched, it is called venule. And when the venule further get branched, it also called the network of capillary or capillary. Thus, we can say that the capillaries are the intermediate part of the arteries and veins. This shows the network of capillaries. And this structure illustrates the passage of blood inside the capillaries. The blood from the arteries passes into the capillaries, which carries the oxygen as well as essential food substances to the cells, tissues or organs in which capillaries are present. And from there, after the process of cellular respiration or oxidation, the waste matter formed containing rich amount of carbon dioxide, urea or uric acid as well as other nitrogenous waste is passed out into the veins. Veins collect this total volume of the deoxygenated blood to the heart, and the heart pumps it into the lungs through a artery that is called pulmonary vein. Yes, students, here we are going to talking about the pulmonary vein and pulmonary artery. Students, as I was tell you that arteries always carries oxygenated blood, but the pulmonary artery always carries deoxygenated blood. This is exception. Likewise, a vein always carry deoxygenated blood, but pulmonary veins always carry oxygenated blood. Look at here how this could be possible. This is due to the relation of these artery and veins with our lungs. In the topic of when we are discussing about the lungs, I was also discuss about the pulmon term. The pulmon term is used in biological means for the lungs. So that when a vein, it means pulmonary vein that is related to lungs, which carries the oxygenated blood into the left artery of our heart, that are called pulmonary veins, and they help in the distribution of the blood to the whole parts of body. Likewise, the artery that collect the blood from the right atrium of the heart into the left atrium, and from the left atrium it passes into the lungs, that is called pulmonary artery. Inside the pulmonary artery, the deoxygenated blood is present. This is the exception, and mainly this question is put out into the competitive examination what kind of veins carries oxygenated blood or what kind of arteries carries deoxygenated blood. Thus students, I hope you will understood that the pulmonary artery or arteries always carries deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood. It means the blood that contains very low amount of oxygen, whereas the pulmonary vein always carries oxygenated blood. It is just antagonistic to the function of the artery and veins, because artery always carries oxygenated blood, whereas veins carry deoxygenated blood. But here the term pulmonary dysfunction or antagonistic the function of the artery and veins. In pulmonary veins, oxygenated blood is always flow, and in pulmonary artery, deoxygenated blood is always flows. Thus, students, now we are discussing about the function of blood vessels. Function of blood vessels. Like to the blood vessel serves following functions. First of all, if we are discuss, then it carries all kinds of fluid materials and the gases like oxygen to the whole parts of the body cells. Next, it also helps in the transport of nitrogenous waste and the gases like carbon dioxide. Next, with the help of blood vessels, the blood flows inside the bloodstream. The endocrine glands, which are ductless gland, secretes the hormones, and the blood vessels also helps in the carries this type of or particular type of hormones to the initiating cells, or you can say the tissues where it has to perform its function. Thus, students, blood vessel serves all the functions just like to the blood. Thanks, students, for joining today's lecture.